Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
Today we are producing more than 3 million pages.
The US Department of Justice has removed thousands of documents relating to Jeffrey Epstein from its website after victims said their identities had been compromised. Lawyers for Epstein's victims said a lack of redactions in the files released on Friday had turned upside down the lives of nearly 100 survivors.
I found my own, date of birth, my own phone number, but was also just really disturbed to see evidence of names of people that I knew did not want to be public.
Email addresses and nude photos in which the names and faces of potential victims could be identified were included in the release. Survivors issued a statement calling the disclosure outrageous and said they should not be named, scrutinised and re-traumatised. The Department of Justice said it had taken down all the flagged files and that mistakes were due to technical or human error. Meanwhile, former US President Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary, the former Secretary of State, have agreed to testify in the congressional investigation into the late sex offender. It comes days before a vote on whether to hold the couple in criminal contempt for refusing to appear before the House Oversight Committee after a months-long standoff. Bill Clinton was acquainted with Epstein, who died in prison in 2019, but has denied knowledge of his sex offending and says he cut off contact 2 decades ago. It's unclear when the depositions will take place, but it will be the first time a former US president has testified to a congressional panel since Gerald Ford in 1983.
The whole world sees what is happening in Iran.
President Volodymyr Zelensky has said Russia has used a record number of ballistic missiles to target Ukraine's energy sector. The combined missile and drone strikes hit power plants and infrastructure in Kyiv and multiple locations, causing the most powerful blow so far this year, according to a private energy company, DTEK. The strikes were launched as temperatures dropped to minus 20 Celsius and left more than 1,000 tower blocks in the capital without heating once again, and damaged a power plant in the eastern city of Kharkiv. Zelensky said Russia was choosing terror and escalation rather than diplomacy. The attack comes after a so-called energy truce agreed by Donald Trump with Vladimir Putin expired at the weekend. The French offices of Elon Musk's X have been raided by the Paris prosecutor's cybercrime unit as part of an investigation into suspected offences, including unlawful data extraction and complicity in the possession of child pornography. The prosecutor's office also said Musk and the former ex-chief executive had been summoned to appear at hearings in April. In a separate development, the UK's Information Commissioner's Office announced a probe into Musk's AI tool Grok over its potential to produce harmful sexualised image and video content. X is yet to respond to either investigation. It has previously characterised the French investigation as an attack on free speech. US President Donald Trump has announced he will be seeking $1 billion in damages from Harvard University in his administration's ongoing feud with the institution. The news comes after the New York Times reported that the Trump administration had to backtrack from its demand for a $200 million payment in negotiations with the university. Trump cited the story in a Truth Social post, blaming Harvard for feeding a lot of nonsense to the New York Times. Trump officials have accused Harvard of not doing enough to tackle anti-Semitism during pro-Palestinian protests. Harvard has rejected the accusation. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has hit out at Eritrea's army for committing atrocities during the 2-long-year war in northern Tigray. Eritrean forces fought alongside the Ethiopian army against local Tigrayan fighters for control of Tigray, which borders Eritrea. In an address to Parliament, Abiy admitted for the first time that Eritrean troops had massacred people in Aksum, allegations Eritrea had previously denied following reports of mass killings that took place in the historic city over 2 days in November 2020. It is the latest twist in a volatile relationship between the two neighbours who flip-flop from being friends to enemies. And the grand opening of the Venice Carnival 2026 has taken place, with a variety of boats and floats making their way through the city's canals. As is tradition, a giant papier-mâché rat aboard a gondola led the way. Known as Pantigana, it is a long-standing symbol of the carnival. The 2-week festival attracts tourists from all over the globe, with dancers, costumes and music lighting up the city. It marks a period of opulence before the beginning of Lent, the Christian tradition of 40 days of fasting in the run-up to Easter. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.